You know what? It just, this whole thing pivoted so fast. I mean, first we were shooting down balloons that we knew pretty much what they were, like the one that flew over Montana. There was no question about that. Nobody got excited about that. But all of a sudden, the whole thing pivoted. And I'm thinking of the old movie, where it says, and just like that, there were UFOs. And where did that come from? And I've been scratching my head about this for a long time, watching the global elite talk about UFOs. It's very puzzling how somebody so sophisticated and so, well educated could be so concerned about UFOs, but they are. The guy at the center of this story is Podesta, excuse me, John Podesta. His brother's Tony, but John Podesta in particular, a former member of the Trilateral Commission and one of the biggest operatives the Trilateral Commission ever had. John Podesta is the guy that single-handedly virtually crafted the entire climate policy for the United States, starting back when he was chief of staff for Bill Clinton in the 90s. And he went to work for Obama then. And, he did the same thing for Obama, crafting climate change policy. When he left the Obama administration, this is what puzzled me. When he left the Obama administration, there was an exit interview that big media did. And they asked him, well, what is your biggest regret? That's a common question. What's your biggest regret about, what you didn't get done or did get done, whatever, and you goofed? He said, well, my biggest concern after all this highfalutin, policy stuff, I regret that I didn't get the release of the UFO files to the public. What he said is totally off the wall. Where did this come from? But we see going back, he had the same concerns when he worked for Bill Clinton. And he nudged Bill Clinton back, I forget exactly what year it was, 99, I think, but he nudged Bill Clinton to go down to Area 51 and uncover any evidence on UFOs and aliens. And Clinton did, and Podesta did. That's well documented in the media. And Clinton came back not being a believer, I have to say. He said, I don't know, I don't see any evidence there. But John Podesta has never lost the faith. Whether he's genuine about his faith or he's just playing the game, it really doesn't matter. It could be either one. But John Podesta is right smack dab in the middle of the Biden administration right now. He's in charge of spending all the money for the Green New Deal stuff. And he also rubs shoulders on a frequent basis with the current domestic policy advisor, kind of the czar of domestic policy, Susan Rice. People will remember Susan Benghazi Sue Rice.
Mm-hmm.
She's in charge of all domestic policy in the United States. Clearly, clearly Biden is not in charge of domestic policy, but she is. And so here are two major operatives. She's a member of the Trilateral Commission, two major operatives of the Trilateral Commission. All of a sudden, we have UFOs being elevated to, oh my gosh, it could be UFOs. The fact that so many people came out that, and talked about this, four-star generals in charge of airspace over North America, comes out and says, well, I'm not ruling out UFOs. Where did this come from? There was like 3 or 4 announcements right in a row, unmistakable, not a coincidence, unmistakable policy talking points that have been passed around, promote UFOs. Now the public across America is all worked up, at least those people that like to follow Area 51, they're all worked up now that the government itself has verified that they believe in UFOs and aliens.
We also did several shows in the last few months warning about the fact that UFOs and their promotion, I believe, is setting the stage for spiritual deception. I've read many quotes where many occultists, many New Agers have said, and we've read the direct quotes, that one day soon the crafts will hover over the earth and they will take out those that are causing dissension and intolerance. It seems as though Satan is laying down a narrative within the culture to explain millions of Christians all of a sudden missing. Now, I know people can argue about the timing on the rapture, pre-trib, mid-trib, post-trib, whatever. I find it very interesting that that if the removal of the church in a rapture or the word that is used for a gathering up, not talking the second coming, but if there is a rapture of the church, whether it's pre-tribulation, mid-tribulation, 75% way through with a pre-wrath or post-tribulation, whatever, if the rapture is not really real, why would Satan and the demonic world be fooling around, wasting their time with occultic writers, laying down a narrative to explain it away when it happens? Huh?
Yeah, you're right. We've been talking about this very thing in church circles for, gosh, a very long time. I think I want to say 25, 30 years. This is exactly the scenario that's been suggested. But now this is really kind of the first time that that the government has really played the UFO card. And it's always been there, but they never played it. They just kind of hinted at it. Now it's been played. And now you have to wonder, okay, what's the agenda behind this? Where is this going? This was not some occultic nutcake that did this. Well, actually, John Podesta is involved in the occult quite heavily, but this wasn't just some crazy person that came up with this policy. Something is behind it that's pushing it right now. So that means there's an agenda going on here. We don't know what it is yet, but it is a deception. And it is something that takes people's eyes off of what's going on ground zero. There are lots of things going on at ground zero right now that we've talked about, including the Great Reset, including monetary collapse, economic collapse, supply chain collapse. All kinds of things are going on that, we need to be watching. This is going to deflect attention, certainly, away from whatever's happening on terra firma. And I think that's one of the takeaways. Caitlin Johnson, by the way, wrote an article today. I thought it was very, very good. It doesn't matter where the UFOs came from or what the implication on the surface of it is, but she says it will lead to more militarism. And I think she's absolutely right in that conclusion. It will lead to more militarism. We now need to defend, not just against an invisible virus, not just against, an invisible whatever it is, Great Reset. Now we have to defend ourselves against an invisible alien force. So the military will be queued up. Already the White House has started a UFO task force. That's the first step. And you can just see this building. Well, we have to have a space. We got a space force, U.S. Space Force, kind of like whatever you call it, the Marines of outer space. So yeah, we need to have a UFO task force now. We need to start getting satellites up there and spaceships up there to defend Earth. And high-powered lasers or whatever. You could just kind of see this rhetoric building, and it's just kind of interesting to watch this parade go by. I don't for a minute think that UFOs are the big deal right now. There's something else going on. I think we'll probably discover it within maybe a month or two or three, but it certainly doesn't bode well for the balance of 2023 because the war against humanity is building up. This is just one more thing that we have to deal with on the stack of attacks that we've been subjected to.
Here's a new one by Patrick. He's sharing on his website, technocracy.news. The Pentagon creates roadmap for zero trust internet access by 2027. I have shown the interactive wheel by the World Economic Forum now for a while, and I've shown that wheel where they openly state that eventually you're going to have a digital ID to get on the internet. Right. In fact, let me see if I can find it. Digital ID. I think I have that graphic real quick. Yeah, here we go. This is it. Here we go. Here it is. So here's the graphic by the World Economic Forum, and you'll notice that one of them says that actually for social interactions to access third-party services that rely on social media logins, you're going to have one. Okay, it's right there. Okay. So you want to do e-commerce, shop, transactions, you're going to have one. So this is what the World Economic Forum has been promoting for your bank account, for everything. You're going to have a digital ID. Your new article is going into that. Tell us about it, please.
Well, it is. And the whole concept here is this is what the Pentagon has come up with, and it just reflects what the World Economic Forum has said. The idea that even employees working for the Pentagon cannot be trusted because there have been inside hackers that did stuff and it caused them a lot of trouble. When they say zero trust, what this means is they're going to take a stance that they trust nobody in the world, whether they're working for them, whether they're four-star generals, it doesn't matter. They're setting up a system of not just identification, that's part of it, but they're setting up a system where you have to gain access to the internet, period, before you can do anything on the internet, whether it's accessing local files or whether it's using the internet. The way this works to get on is that they're issuing a card that generates a temporary number. Some people that are using the internet right now understand what I'm saying. It gives us a separate code that only is your code generated from your card. And when you put that code in, the system knows it's you because that code came from your card and you typed it in with your own, fingers. This is guaranteed authentication of you and your session to get onto the internet. Now they say, the Pentagon says by 2027, the Pentagon is going to be saturated with this stuff. You know it's going to spill over into the commercial world. It already has to some extent in Europe. It's going to spill over, and there will be a day where everybody that has access to the internet now will not be able to use the internet unless they have that kind of a token that will identify them and thereby, record all of their chat history, all of their browser history, everything that's going on. Every keystroke that's being typed will be able to be captured by whoever wants to capture it. Well, we kind of know who that is already, right? We know that the technocrats running the government love that kind of data. They will collect it.